Hey guys, this is going to be my quick overview of my bracing routine that I did in order to teach myself how to brace properly for squat and deadlift and other heavy compound movements that you might see. So this is going to be the conceptual, that's a word. This is going to be the conceptual side of things as far as the bracing is concerned. For those of you that want to just skip right to the actual routine, I'll leave a timestamp in the description. So just to get into it, I think the main issue most people have with bracing is everyone, especially people who are new to the gym, just thinks about, oh, my back has to be flat. I need to keep my back like this. The problem that a lot of people run into is that what they tend to do is they think so much about keeping your back straight, keep your back arched, keep your back such and such, that they are actually overextending at the spine, especially in the lower back, which if you think about it, you've almost got like a soda can. You're flicking a dent in the backside of that soda can. And so if you were to push down like you would on a squat or a deadlift, you know, the bar, you would kind of fold it in half on that side. So keeping this soda can analogy, you want to keep it perfectly symmetrical on both sides. You know, I've got this water cup here. You want it to be completely cylindrical on all sides because geometrically that is the strongest shape. So part of that is teaching yourself to have better posture as far as keeping the ribs down. What you're going to see in basically this entire routine is that I'm teaching myself to take my ribs, and instead of, you know, overarching in the lower back, imagine this is the curve of my lower back being overarched. You know, I'm going to be in this overarched position, and I'm teaching myself to imagine the rib cage here and here, bring the rib cage down to where the rib cage is parallel with the top of the pelvis, or at least it should be intentionally. And then being able to breathe into that already braced abdominals and oblique. So the first exercise in this routine is called 90-90 breathing. It's really more of a drill. So the name actually comes from the angle of your knees and hips. They're both going to be at 90 degrees with your feet placed up against the wall just for a little bit of support. So most people, when they naturally lay like this, their lower back is going to be arched and it won't be touching the ground at all. What we're trying to do here is we're really focusing on that ribs down cue, right? So you're thinking ribs down. And what you'll see on this video as I do this is that my lower back will actually flex a little bit and it'll push hard against the ground. That's how you know you're going to be doing this right, is that your abs are going to clench up really, really tight and your lower back is going to touch the ground. You can almost think about that as your goal, is to bring the rib cage down and get your lower back to touch the ground. You'll also know you're doing this right because it will feel very, very uncomfortable. And if you hold it for more than about 10 seconds, you will start shaking and or sweating. I would start with 2 rounds of this for between 10 and 30 seconds. Off of the 90-90 breathing is just a typical front plank. Now, the issue with this exercise is most people tend to arch their back. You'll see me demonstrate this in the video. And there's actually very little tension being placed in the core. It's essentially just a sort of a stretch reflex exercise with the tendons and connective tissue in your abdomen. So if you're doing this correctly, you're going to think about it as the 90-90 breathing. You kind of have to recreate that feeling of incredible pressure and tension in your abs. And you actually see in this video, it looks like my back is rounding over a little bit. And that's because I'm focusing so hard on this ribs down cue that to most people, what they think of as good posture, where the lower back is a little bit arched, goes away. And sometimes the upper back tends to go with it. I would honestly say that as long as you're getting the proper sensation in your abs, and you'll know when you feel it, it's completely okay for your upper back to round while you're doing this routine, because you're trying to teach yourself in that abdominal area to be able to bring the ribs down, tighten the obliques and the abs, and then be able to hold that as you breathe in and out. That's the real difficult part, is you have to be able to breathe and then hold it while you're lifting. But during these drills, you're going to be doing them for between 10 and 30 seconds. So you have to learn how to be able to breathe and hold the. Now, once you've mastered that sensation of being able to hold that isometric when it comes to the 90-90 breathing and the front plank, you'll actually attempt to do the same thing but with a side plank. Now, this one's going to be a bit shorter, I would say 10 to 20 seconds. And really, you can put your hands during any of these drills on your core, wherever you're supposed to feel it, so that you can feel the activation going through your abdominals and your obliques. And you should, in theory, be able to feel very similar sensation in your obliques. I would, like I said, once you've mastered the isometric feeling of your abs bracing as hard as they are during the 90-90 breathing front planks and side planks, you can move into a movement while you are keeping that brace and having to keep that proper ribs down posture. And my favorite way of doing this is dead bugs. The McGill Big 3 movements, actually, instead of this, they have bird dog. It will essentially do the same thing, but I find that dead bugs are easier for most people to be able to actually still continue to feel their core braced in the proper manner. People tend to lose their good habits that they've learned from the other exercises as soon as they go into a bird dog. So that's why I prefer dead bugs. Now, the key here is that you have to start off very slow, and you probably will have to cut the range of motion when you're first doing this the first handful of times. So, but as you get more and more experience and you're able to keep that same exact feeling as the 90-90 breathing throughout each rep, you can see me shaking in this video, you can slowly increase the range of motion. I would say that you're pretty much good between 3 and 5 full range of motion reps on either side. Obviously, movements mastered, you're able to move through a dead bug or a bird dog without losing your rigidity in your core and without losing that ribs down posture. You can move into something like an RDL, which I'm demonstrating in this video. This is essentially like the final form where if you can do an RDL while being able to maintain that ribs down posture, you can essentially take it anywhere. Now, this is important to keep in mind that as the weight gets loaded, you're going to want to dial back the upper back round that comes along with some of these movements. But I find that it's a lot easier to rein back the upper back rounding as opposed to be able to start with the upper back being completely engaged and then teach yourself to keep the ribs down posture. Remember that most of the injuries people have in their spine are in the lumbar area, which is not supported by the rib cage. So it's almost more acceptable for your upper back to flex and bow with movement than it is for the lower back, which can be a mechanic for very serious life-altering injury. Thank you guys for watching. That's my my little core routine. I did this every morning for about 2 months when I was first really getting into powerlifting and strongman to be able to teach myself how to brace. And I have to say it did me wonders. I've only had a handful of back tweaks since I started doing this. And once you really learn how to do it and you're able to engage with this in every squat and deadlift type movement, you really, it cuts down on the amount of tweaks significantly. And I've never had a serious injury, and I would go as far as to say that it's actually fairly idiot-proof, I suppose. It is sort of a ripoff of Stuart McGill's, I don't remember the book, it just slipped my mind, but go check out Stuart McGill's work. He's a spine doctor who rehabbed what is now the world record holder in the equipped squat from breaking his back and essentially destroying his spine after years of lifting. And he used very similar movements and methodologies to be able to restore this guy to his competitive, how do I say this, best and eventually to move on and now be the best equipped squatter ever. I would say that this routine you should probably do every day for best results, either as a warm-up for your lifting or just every morning. I would say do 2 to 3 rounds of the 4 main movements, not including the RDL or squat. And start off with about 10 seconds or 3 reps of each, and then slowly move into being able to do 3 full rounds of 30 seconds or 5 reps each. So, all right, thanks guys. See you.